One of the people in the room who's old enough to have been around and seen the breakup of the post-war boom and saw the initial wave of resistance that broke out in the world against the solutions that they were beginning to try to implement in the late 60s, the early 70s. And it's been a long and it's been a very difficult road. There has been continued resistance, but essentially we have been resisting an agenda that has been relentlessly moving forward against us for a very long time, for three and a half decades. We've seen the People's Liberation Army go into Tiananmen Square as enforcers for the neoliberal agenda. We've seen the world saddled with debt and the poor countries crushed by that debt. We've seen their military aggression across the world. We've seen the horrors that are being inflicted in Afghanistan, on Iraq, and we've seen their garrison state on the stolen land of Palestine deal out gratuitous, vicious violence on an ongoing basis to the Palestinian people. And we've seen in this world people's consciousness and people's thinking and people's expectations and hopes driven back. But at the same time, we've seen on the other side a mounting sense of arrogance and triumphalism as they move forward, so that they can talk about there being no alternative, so that they can say that they have achieved the end of history. And just when they talk about the end of history, all of a sudden the sequel comes and they weren't expecting it. And it's taken them completely by surprise. And there is an incredible shock in high places at the moment. It's amazing to see and hear the things that they themselves are saying. It's incredible to pick up their newspapers and read comparisons to the Great Depression. It's amazing to hear their economists talking about financial meltdowns and living on the edge of the precipice. And what astounded me the most was to see one of the preeminent architects of unregulated greed and human misery, Alan Greenspan, take the stage and acknowledge that he'd been wrong, that he'd made mistakes, that he didn't see this happening. And he actually said that this crisis is so profound that it is going to reactivate the debate between capitalism and socialism. I'd like to take this opportunity to say to Alan Greenspan that you're going to get more than a debate, you cadaverous old bastard. So, we are right, I think, to take a moment to celebrate and feel very gratified about the perturbation that exists at the top at the moment. But we also, of course, have to acknowledge the fact that all is not well on our side. That we have experienced a prolonged period of attack, and the marks are there, and it shows. That we don't have the powerful labour movement with the militant leadership that we would like to see. We don't have a left that has deep roots in communities and is powerful and is resilient. There is a lot of weakness. But there's nothing I can really say to compensate for that. That is part of the reality that we face. We go into this crisis perhaps not as prepared and ready as we would like. But I think that puts all the more responsibility on people who have an anti-capitalist consciousness. It puts all the more responsibility on those organisations who fought back and struggled to the best of their ability. And the most positive thing I can say is I think that this is a period when those who give a lead, those who advance correct ideas and correct strategies and are prepared to fight back courageously, are going to get a response like they've never seen before. Because there is going to be incredible anger and there is going to be an incredible capacity to build resistance, and it's going to emerge. Just in case, even in this room, there's any lingering after effects of the Obama Novocaine at work, I would like to suggest that we are not going into a new golden age of enlightened class compromise and Keynesianism. Quite the reverse. There are going to be bailouts for the rich, but they are at the same time going to be vicious austerity measures imposed on the working class and imposed on the labour movement. They are going to demand, as the price of stabilising, that unions not only broker massive defeats, but become weakened to the point where they are not destroyed, but they are left alive to police and broker and impose on their own members vicious cutbacks and mass unemployment. And that is something that we can't allow to happen. And for those people who find themselves thrown out of work, The federal budget that we've just seen and the provincial one that's coming down gives us the clue. They are not looking to restore social provision and the measures of income support to anything like adequacy. They are going to continue to abandon people. Employment insurance, as they now mockingly refer to it, is a system that doesn't insure the unemployed because the unemployed don't qualify for it in the majority of cases. The welfare system has been reduced to a sub-poverty pittance that is hard to access. We are going to see unfolding in this city a mass of evictions. Under Dalton McGuinty, more people will be evicted from their housing than took place under Mike Harris, and that is going to increase enormously. A fan of Danny's. And the shelter system is going to, for the homeless in this city, already overburdened, is going to face demands on it that are going to cause it to explode. People are going to come to this city to try to survive, to try to access services. The crisis of destitution is going to be massive. And for super exploited workers, immigrants, particularly people who are here on the basis of not having status, there is going to be an absolutely appalling situation. Mass and grinding exploitation, and at the same time racist immigration activity directed against them, raids, harassment on an enormous scale. But each one of these points of attack is going to also be a point where people can organise and people can fight back. We're going to have to demand an unemployment insurance system that the unemployed get, that they qualify for, and that is adequate. We're going to have to demand that the provincial government, and we're going to have to build the movement to demand for it, we have to demand that welfare rates be restored to a level that people can survive on. And we have to demand that the swollen obscenity of the $1 billion police budget be massively cut and those funds be redirected into the needs of communities.